Hello everyone, welcome to ET Studios, and today we're having a look at the GTX 1066GB from Nvidia. It is now quite a few years old, and we're going to have a look and see how it performs in 2021. But first, let's run over some basic specs. This is 6GB of GDDR5 RAM, which is still pretty decent, and although it's not quite the new GDDR6 or 6X, it's still pretty fast, and I wouldn't worry too much about that. For the I/O, we have one HDMI, 3 DisplayPort, and 1 DVI, and you will need a 6-pin power connector to power your GPU, so make sure your power supply is at least 450 watts from a decent brand and has that connector. It's a pretty nice GPU. In this particular case, we have the EVGA Superclocked Edition, which is a nice small card with only a single fan, and I think it's pretty cool. I did notice it was a little bit loud during testing because of that single fan working quite hard, but it wasn't too noticeable when you're wearing headphones. But let's have a look at some benchmarks. CSGO first with a nice high average of 300 FPS, Star Wars Squadron's a new but relatively easy to run game at 140 FPS, those two games nice and good. Cyberpunk 2077, a very demanding game with some issues, gave a nice 39.9 FPS average while running on medium settings, while being rather unplayable at ultra settings. Shadow of the Tomb Raider next, with a pretty decent average of 58 FPS, and although the built-in benchmark did report it was 100% GPU bound, I still think it did a pretty good job at ultra settings 1080p. Last but not least, we have 3 Monk, Firestrike, and Time Spy. You can have a look at those scores and compare to your own rig if you want to get the demo. VR performance wasn't too bad either on my Oculus Rift. I played a quick match of Beat Saber, and it was pretty good. I didn't notice any noticeable slowdowns, and I think if you're looking for a budget VR rig, it was probably a decent GPU, but don't expect amazing performance on every VR game. Overall, I'm actually quite impressed with the 1060. It's still holding its own in 2021, and I think I'd recommend this card for anyone on a budget, and considering their prices are pretty decent, I'll put what I found as the normal price for a 1066GB from eBay and sources like that. But overall, I think this card is actually a really nice deal, even in 2021, for some light gaming at 1080p. If you're going for higher resolutions or want higher frame rates, I would highly recommend maybe some of the other 10 series cards if you're still on a budget, like the 1080 Ti if you can afford it. I have a card above for that, which I did a review on at the end of 2020. And if you're having a look at something maybe a little bit cheaper that may still perform pretty good, I have reviews on the GTX 1063GB paired with a Ryzen 3 3200G as well. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this super quick yes or no review on the GTX 1066GB. I highly recommend watching some other reviews, maybe even the older ones, to see if you have any other games that you used to play that you still want to play on the 1060, see how well they perform. And if you have a 1060 right now and are thinking about upgrading, I'd say you probably still have it quite a while left on this card before you really need to. And of course, if you're upgrading to a higher resolution, a 1080 Ti or any of the second-hand 20 series cards that may be coming up on the market soon would be pretty cool if you can get your hands on them for a decent price. I know the price on the market isn't very good for pretty much anything at the moment, so good luck finding your cards, and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to have a look at more content like this in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you everyone for watching, and goodbye.